Hi, welcome back to Storytime for Grown-Ups. Today we will be finishing Book 4 of Paradise Lost by John Milton. So saying, his proud step he scornful turned, but with sly circumspection, and began through wood, through waste, o'er hill, o'er dale his roam. Meanwhile, in utmost longitude, where heaven with earth and ocean meets, the setting sun slowly descended, and with right aspect against the eastern gates of Paradise levelled his evening rays. It was a rock of alabaster, piled up to the clouds, conspicuous far, winding with one ascent accessible from earth, one entrance high. The rest was craggy cliff, that overhung still as it rose, impossible to climb. Betwixt these rocky pillars Gabriel sat, chief of the angelic guards, awaiting night. About him exercised heroic games the unarmed youth of heaven, but nigh at hand celestial armoury, shields, helms, and spears, hung high with diamond flaming and with gold. Thither came Uriel, gliding through the even on a sunbeam, swift as a shooting star in autumn thwarts the night, when vapours fired impress the air, and shows the mariner from what point of his compass to beware impetuous winds. He thus began in haste. Gabriel, to thee thy course by lot hath given charge to strict watch, that to this happy place no evil thing can approach or enter in. This day, at height of noon, came to my sphere a spirit, zealous, as he seemed, to know more of the Almighty's works, and chiefly man, God's latest image. I described his way, bent all on speed, and marked his airy gait. But in the mount that lies from Eden north, where he first lighted, soon discerned his looks alien from heaven, with passions foul obscured. Mine eye pursued him still, but under shade lost sight of him. One of the banished crew, I fear, hath ventured from the deep, to raise new troubles. Him thy care must be to find. To whom the winged warrior thus returned: Uriel, no wonder if thy perfect sight, amidst the sun's bright circle where thou sitt'st, see far and wide. In at this gate none pass the vigilance here placed, but such as come, well known from heaven, and since meridian hour no creature thence. If spirit of other sort, so minded, have o'erleaped these earthly bounds on purpose, hard thou knowest it, to exclude spiritual substance with corporeal bar. But if within the circuit of these walks, in whatsoever shape he lurk, of whom thou tell'st, by morrow dawning I shall know. So promised he, and Uriel to his charge returned on that bright beam, whose point now raised bore him slope downward to the sun now fallen beneath the Azores. Whether the bright orb, incredible how swift, had thither rolled diurnal, or this less voluble earth, by shorter flight to the east, had left him there, arraying with reflected purple and gold the clouds that on his western throne attend. Now came still evening on. The twilight grey had in her sober livery all things clad, silence accompanied for beast and bird, they to their grassy couch, these to their nests were slunk, all but the wakeful nightingale, she all night long her amorous descant sung. Silence was pleased. Now glowed the firmament with living sapphires. Hesperus that led the starry host rode brightest, till the moon, rising in clouded majesty, at length, apparent queen, unveiled her peerless light, and o'er the dark her silver mantle threw. When Adam thus to Eve: Fair consort, the hour of night, and all things now retired to rest, mind us of like repose, since God hath set labour and rest as day and night to men successive, and the timely dew of sleep, now falling with soft slumberous weight, inclines our eyelids. Other creatures all day long rove idle, unemployed, and less need rest. Man hath his daily work of body or mind appointed, which declares his dignity, and the regard of heaven on all his ways. while the other animals unactive range, and of their doing God takes no account. Tomorrow, ere fresh morning streak the east with first approach of light, we must be risen, and at our pleasant labour, to reform yon flowery arbours, yonder alleys green, our walk at noon, with branches overgrown, that mock our scant manuring, and require more hands than ours to lop their wanton growth. Those blossoms also, and those dropping gums, that lie bestrewn unsightly and unsmooth, ask riddance if we mean to tread with ease. Meanwhile, as nature wills, night bids us rest. To whom thus Eve, with perfect beauty adorned: My author and disposer, what thou bidst unargued I obey. So God ordains. God is thy law, thou mine. To know no more is woman's happiest knowledge and her praise. With thee conversing, I forget all time, all seasons and their change, all please alike. Sweet is the breath of morn, her rising sweet, with charm of earliest birds. Pleasant the sun, when first on this delightful land he spreads his orient beams, on herb, tree, fruit and flower, glistening with dew, fragrant the fertile earth after soft showers, and sweet the coming on of grateful evening mild. Then silent night, with this her solemn bird, and this fair moon, and these the gems of heaven, her starry train. But neither breath of morn, when she ascends with charm of earliest birds, nor rising sun on this delightful land, nor herb, fruit, flower, glistening with dew, nor fragrance after showers, nor grateful evening mild, nor silent night, with this her solemn bird, nor walk by moon, nor glittering starlight, without thee is sweet. But wherefore all night long shine these, for whom this glorious sight, when sleep hath shut all eyes? To whom our general ancestor replied: Daughter of God and man, accomplished Eve, those have their course to finish round the earth by morrow evening, and from land to land in order, though to nations yet unborn, ministering light prepared, they set and rise, lest total darkness should by night regain her old possession, and extinguish life in nature and all things, which these soft fires not only enlighten, but with kindly heat of various influence foment and warm, temper or nourish, or in part shed down their stellar virtue on all kinds that grow on earth, made hereby apter to receive perfection from the sun's more potent ray. These then, though unbeheld in deep of night, shine not in vain, nor think, though men were none, that heaven would want spectators, God want praise. Millions of spiritual creatures walk the earth unseen, both when we wake and when we sleep. All these with ceaseless praise his works behold both day and night. How often from the steep of echoing hill or thicket have we heard celestial voices to the midnight air, sole or responsive each to other's notes, singing their great Creator. Often bands, while they keep watch, or nightly rounding walk, with heavenly touch of instrumental sounds in full harmonic number joined. Their songs divide the night and lift our thoughts to heaven. Thus talking, hand in hand alone, they passed on to their blissful bower. It was a place chosen by the sovereign planter, when he framed all things to man's delightful use. The roof of thickest covert was inwoven shade, laurel and myrtle, and what higher grew of firm and fragrant leaf. On either side acanthus, and each odorous bushy shrub fenced up the verdant wall, each beauteous flower, iris all hues, roses and jessamine, reared high their flourished heads between, and wrought mosaic. Underfoot the violet, crocus and hyacinth with rich inlay, broidered the ground, more coloured than with stone of costliest emblem. Other creature here, beast, bird, insect, or worm, durst enter none, such was their awe of man. In shadier bower, more sacred and sequestered, though but feigned, Pan or Sylvanus never slept, nor nymph, nor Faunus haunted. Here in close recess, with flowers, garlands, and sweet-smelling herbs, espoused Eve decked first her nuptial bed, and heavenly choirs the Himalayan sung. What day the genial angel to our sire brought her in naked beauty more adorned, more lovely than Pandora, whom the gods endowed with all their gifts. And oh, too like, in sad event, when to the unwiser son of Japhet, brought by Hermes, she ensnared mankind with her fair looks, to be avenged on him who had stole Jove's authentic fire. Thus at their shady lodge arrived, both stood, both turned, and under open sky adored that God that made both sky, air, earth, and heaven, which they beheld, the moon's resplendent globe and starry pole. Thou also madest the night, Maker omnipotent, and thou the day, which we in our appointed work employed have finished happy in our mutual help and mutual love, the crown of all our bliss ordained by thee, and this delicious place for us too large, where thy abundance wants partakers, and uncropped falls to the ground. But thou hast promised from us too a race to fill the earth, who shall with us extol thy goodness infinite, both when we wake, and when we seek, as now, thy gift of sleep. This said unanimous, and other rites observing none, but adoration pure which God likes best, into their inmost bower handed they went, and eased the putting off these troublesome disguises which we wear. Straight side by side were laid, nor turned eween Adam from his fair spouse, nor Eve the rites mysterious of connubial love refused. Whatever hypocrites austerely talk of purity and place and innocence, defaming as impure what God declares pure, and commands to some, leaves free to all, our Maker bids increase, who bids abstain but our destroyer, foe to God and man. Hail, wedded love, mysterious law, true source of human offspring, sole propriety in paradise of all things common else. By thee adulterous lust was driven from men, among the bestial herds to range, by thee founded in reason, loyal, just, and pure, relations dear, and all the charities of father, son, and brother first were known. Far be it that I should write thee sin or blame, or think thee unbefitting holiest place, perpetual fountain of domestic sweets, whose bed is undefiled and chaste pronounced, present or past, as saints and patriarchs used. Here love his golden shafts employs, here lights his constant lamp, and waves his purple wings, reigns here and revels, not in the bought smile of harlots, loveless, joyless, unendeared, casual fruition, nor in court amours, mixed dance, or wanton masque, or midnight ball, or serenade, which the starved lover sings to his proud fair, best quitted with disdain. These, lulled by nightingales, embracing slept, and on their naked limbs the flowery roof showered roses, which the morn repaired. Sleep on, blessed pair, and oh, yet happiest if ye seek no happier state, and know to know no more. Now had night measured with her shadowy cone halfway uphill this vast sublunar vault, and from their ivory port the cherubim forth issuing at the accustomed hour stood armed to their night watches in warlike parade, when Gabriel to his next in power thus spake: Uziel, half these draw off, and coast the south the strictest watch. These other wheel the north. Our circuit meets full west. As flame they part, half wheeling to the shield, half to the spear. From these, two strong and subtle spirits he called, that near him stood, and gave them thus in charge: Ithuriel and Zephon, with winged speed search through this garden, leave unsearched no nook, but chiefly where those two fair creatures lodge, now laid perhaps asleep secure of harm. This evening from the sun's decline arrived, who tells of some infernal spirit seen hitherward bent, who could have thought, escaped the bars of hell, on errand bad, no doubt. Such where ye found, seize fast, and hither bring. So saying, on he led his radiant files, dazzling the moon. These to the bower direct, in search of whom they sought. Him there they found, squat like a toad, close at the ear of Eve, essaying by his devilish art to reach the organs of her fancy, and from them forge illusions as he list, phantasms and dreams, or if, inspiring venom, he might taint the animal spirits that from pure blood arose, like gentle breaths from rivers pure, thence raise at least distempered, discontented thoughts, vain hopes, vain aims, inordinate desires blown up with high conceits engendering pride. Him thus intent, Ithuriel with his spear touched lightly, for no falsehood can endure touch of celestial temper, but returns of force to its own likeness. Up he starts, discovered and surprised, as when a spark lights on a heap of nitrous powder, laid fit for the ton some magazine to store against a rumoured war. The smutty grain with sudden blaze diffused inflames the air. So started up in his own shape the fiend. Back stepped those two fair angels, half amazed, so sudden to behold the grisly king. Yet thus, unmoved with fear, accost him soon. Which of those rebel spirits, adjudged to hell, comest thou, escaped thy prison and transformed, while satst thou like an enemy in wait here watching at the head of these that sleep? Know ye not, then, said Satan, filled with scorn, know ye not me? Ye knew me once, no mate for you, there sitting where ye durst not soar. Not to know me argues yourselves unknown, the lowest of your throng. Or if ye know, why ask ye, and superfluous begin your message, like to end as much in vain? To whom thus Zephon, answering scorn with scorn, think not, revolted spirit, thy shape the same, or undiminished brightness, to be known as when thou stoodst in heaven upright and pure. That glory then, when thou no more wast good, departed from thee, and thou resemblest now thy sin in place of doom obscure and foul. But come, for thou, be sure, shalt give account to him who sent us, whose charge is to keep this place inviolable, and these free from harm. So spake the cherub, and his grave rebuke, severe in youthful beauty, added grace invincible. Abashed the devil stood, and felt how awful goodness is, and saw virtue in her shape how lovely, saw and pined his lost. But chiefly to find here observed his lustre visibly impaired, yet seemed undaunted. If I must contend, said he, best with the best, the sender, not the sent, or all at once, more glory will be won, or less be lost. Thy fear, said Zephon bold, will save us trial what the least can do. Single against thee wicked, and thence weak. The fiend replied not, overcome with rage, but like a proud steed reined, went haughty on, champing his iron curb. To strive or fly he held in vain. Awe from above had quelled his heart, naught else dismayed. Now drew they nigh to Western Point, where those half-rounding guards just met, and closing stood in squadron joined, awaiting next command. To whom their chief, Gabriel, from the front thus called aloud, O friends, I hear the tread of nimble feet hastening this way, and now by glimpse discern Ithuriel and Zephon through the shade, and with them comes a third of regal port. But faded splendor wan, who by his gait and fierce demeanor seems the prince of hell, not likely to part hence without contest. Stand firm, for in his look defiance lowers. He scarce had ended, when those two approached, and brief related whom they brought, where found, how busied, and what form and posture crouched. To whom, with stern regard, thus Gabriel spake: Why hast thou, Satan, broke the bounds prescribed to thy transgressions, and disturbed the charge of others, who approve not to transgress by thy example, but have power and right to question thy bold entrance on this place, employed, it seems, to violate sleep, and those whose dwelling God hath planted here in bliss? To whom thus Satan, with contemptuous brow: Gabriel, thou hadst in heaven the esteem of wise, and such I held thee. But this question asked puts me in doubt. Lives there who loves his pain? Who would not, finding way, break loose from hell, though thither doomed? Thou wouldst thyself, no doubt, and boldly venture to whatever place farthest from pain, where thou mightst hope to change torment with ease, and soonest recompense dole with delight, which in this place I sought. To thee no reason, who know'st only good, but evil hast not tried, and wilt object his will who bound us. Let him surer bar his iron gates, if he intends our stay in that dark durance. Thus much what was asked. The rest is true. They found me where they say, but that implies not violence or harm. Thus he in scorn. The warlike angel, moved, disdainfully half smiling, thus replied: O loss of one in heaven to judge of wise! Since Satan fell, whom folly overthrew, and now returns him from his prison scaped, gravely in doubt whether to hold them wise or not, who ask what boldness brought him hither, unlicensed from his bounds in hell prescribed. So wise he judges it to fly from pain, however, and escape his punishment. So judge thou still, presumptuous, till the wrath which thou incurrest by flying meet thy flight sevenfold, and scourge that wisdom back to hell, which taught thee yet no better, that no pain can equal anger infinite provoked. But wherefore thou alone? Wherefore with thee came not all hell broke loose? Is pain to them less pain, less to be fled, or thou than they less harder to endure? Courageous chief, the first in flight from pain, hadst thou alleged to thy deserted host this cause of flight, thou surely hadst not come sole fugitive. To which the fiend thus answered, frowning stern: Not that I less endure, or shrink from pain, insulting angel. Well thou know'st I stood thy fiercest, when in battle to thy aid the blasting volleyed thunder made all speed, and second to thy else not dreaded despair. But still thy words at random, as before, argue thy inexperience. What behooves from hard essays and ill successes past a faithful leader, not to hazard all through ways of danger by himself untried? I therefore, I alone, first undertook to wing the desolate abyss, and spy this new created world, whereof in hell fame is not silent, here in hope to find better abode, and my afflicted powers to settle here on earth, or in mid-air, though for possession put, to try once more what thou and thy gay legions dare against, whose easier business were to serve their Lord high up in heaven, with songs to hymn his throne, and practise distances to cringe, not fight. To whom the warrior angel soon replied, to say and straight unsay, pretending first wise to fly pain, professing next the spy, argues no leader but a liar traced, Satan. And couldst thou faithful add, O name, O sacred name of faithfulness profaned, faithful to whom? To thy rebellious crew? Army of fiends, fit body to fit head, was this your discipline and faith engaged, your military obedience, to dissolve allegiance to the acknowledged power supreme? And thou sly hypocrite, who now wouldst seem patron of liberty, who more than thou once fawned, and cringed, and servilely adored heaven's awful monarch, wherefore but in hope to dispossess him, and thyself to reign? But mark what I arret thee now, avaunt, fly thither whence thou fledst, if from this hour within these hallowed limits thou appear, back to the infernal pit I drag thee chained, and seal thee so, as henceforth not to scorn the facile gates of hell too slightly barred. So threatened he, but Satan to no threats gave heed, but waxing more in rage replied, then when I am thy captive, talk of chains, proud limitary cherub, but ere then, far heavier load thyself expect to feel from my prevailing arm, though heaven's king ride on thy wings, and thou with thy compeers, used to the yoke, drawst his triumphant wheels in progress through the road of heaven star-paved. While thus he spake, the angelic squadron bright turned fiery red, sharpening in mooned horns their phalanx, and began to hem him round with ported spears, as thick as when a field of Ceres ripe for harvest waving bends her bearded grove of ears. Which way the wind sways them, the careful ploughman doubting stands, lest on the threshing floor his hopeful sheaves prove chaff. On the other side Satan alarmed, collecting all his might dilated stood, like Tenerife or Atlas unremoved. His stature reached the sky, and on his crest sat horror plumed, nor wanted in his grasp what seemed both spear and shield. Now dreadful deeds might have ensued, nor only paradise in this commotion, but the starry cope of heaven perhaps, where all the elements at least had gone to wrack, disturbed and torn with violence of this conflict, had not soon the Eternal to prevent such horrid fray, hung forth in heaven his golden scales, yet seen betwixt Astraea and the Scorpion's sign, wherein all things created first he weighed, the pendulous round earth with balanced air in counterpoise, now ponders all events, battles and realms. In these he put two weights, the sequel each of parting and of fight. The latter quickly up flew, and kicked the beam, which Gabriel spying thus bespake the fiend, Satan, I know thy strength, and thou know'st mine, neither our own but given. What folly then to boast what arms can do, since thine no more than heaven permits, nor mine, though doubled now to trample thee as mire. For proof, look up, and read thy lot in yon celestial sign where thou art weighed, and shown how light, how weak if thou resist. The fiend looked up, and knew his mounted scale aloft nor more, but fled, murmuring, and with him fled the shades of night.